1 Sunday night recap games. So crazy, so wild. All the Sunday games, so many shockers, upsets. What is going on with some of these teams? These teams, some of them lost their mind like crazy, while others had some huge wins. So let's get started and talk to you about it. Welcome to Football Barbie.
Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished?
Week 1. So I already did talk a little about the Kansas City and Detroit Lions game. However, Chris Jones, just as yesterday, did sign a 1-year contract, which I haven't seen any information about, like how much money it is. But he did sign a 1-year contract that has incentives in it. They didn't extend it, but they did sign the incentives. Tony does still need to figure out like how to hold the ball better. Now, it wasn't all completely his fault, but still he needs to learn on trying to hold the ball. And then you did have for the Lions, your rookies did great in the first game with Gibbs and Sam Laporta on offense and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch, who caught that pick 6 against the Chiefs. They did great on defense. Some exciting talent to only be developed. So check out the other videos down below or for the other games. So let's start with the Bengals and Browns. What happened to Joe Burrow and the Bengals? Now, apparently this is not the first week 1 game that Cincinnati has bombed. You do have them bombing the first week game last season. What was it? Against the Pittsburgh Steelers, dropping a 5 turnover. Do they really need to shake off the dust for the first game of the season? That's kind of strange. The first game of the season really could be that bad. Let's just see how they do for, the rest of the weeks. I'm still holding out. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be one of the best teams for sure in the league. So we will figure it out. Joe Burrow even came out the last 5 minutes of the game because it was just truly that bad. It was pouring the entire time on the East Coast, and he did throw for a career low of 82 yards, but he did just get that amazing contract. So now what? The score did end up being 24-3 for the Browns. That's a little bit of an embarrassment. You did for the Browns. They got the first touchdown of the game. Obviously, they got the only touchdowns because the Bengals didn't score at all for that. They had brought in their new defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, and they slaughtered the Bengals. Their defense just completely took over. But don't get it twisted. The Browns do still have some issues offensively. And Jack Conklin on their team suffered a torn ACL during the game and will miss the rest of the season. Some of these people went out the first week of the season and had all these torn ankle injuries. I don't really know what happened and how everybody's getting these torn ankle injuries. It's absolutely horrible. The weather conditions, like I said, did just suck completely during the whole entire time. It was pouring. Like, I don't miss being on the East Coast for these reasons. Keep my fingers crossed for this Eagles-Vikings game, and it's not pouring during the game because I've yet to sit during an Eagles game that's pouring. Watson, though, was struggling to throw the ball, so we will see what happens come week 2. They are playing the Steelers, and the Steelers are going to be pissed after losing that bad to the 49ers. So congrats, Browns fans, but it's only week 1. Let's see what happens and keep on going. Then we had the Texans versus the Ravens. So I was really trying to watch the Ravens game to see like what's going to happen with Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson on their team, all these new star people. And I don't know. I wasn't that impressed so far. Dobbins on the Ravens got the first touchdown, but he's now out. Not somebody else. Out for the whole season with a torn Achilles. Apparently, this was the week for the torn Achilles. That's brutal. Hill got 2 touchdowns on the Ravens, and Edwards had a 2-point conversion for one of those touchdowns, which I was really surprised they went for that 2-point conversion. The Ravens were able to beat the Texans 25-9. Ouch. Even though they did win, they still have a lot of issues, though. They are under Todd Monken's offensive coordinator, but the team was underwhelming to say the least. So Ravens, for sure, you need to step it up by all means. Jackson threw for only 169 yards and committed 2 turnovers and an interception and lost fumble. They didn't have Mark Andrews for week 1, and how much did that actually really hurt them? You did have Zay Flowers, who did really well, though, in his season debut. As for the Texans, CJ Stroud made a respectable debut on Sunday, considering being up against the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens still are a good team. Let's not get that twisted. But, how much can he really do as a rookie? He took 5 sacks and spun out at least more times than that. He did show good athleticism and escapability during the game. Once he settled into the second quarter, he did make some promising throws and plays, but you still need a really good offensive line in order for your team to actually do well. Robert Woods will probably prove to be the most likely asset for Stroud during the game. So Texans, let's see what happens week 2. That's all I can say. I'm a little, wasn't impressed by any means. I didn't think I would be anyway. Next up, we have the Bucs versus the Vikings. So the Vikings, their first touchdown was by Justin Jefferson, who we all know is a beast. Jordan Addison would have had a great touchdown, but there was a flag down on the play. So that does suck when you have an amazing touchdown and then there's a flag and it brings it back. You're like, son of a bitch. But the Vikings couldn't take the ball away or crucial to stop late in the game for the Bucs. The Bucs were just keep pushing forward. And even though the Bucs were not proving to be that great at all, which I didn't think they would be, but like I said, this was my upset that I chose. I did not do well. I don't know how many people truly did do well this week because it was kind of tough. Their 3 offensive turnovers, though, for Kirk Cousins cost them dearly. Even though the Bucs couldn't really score on these turnovers too well, it just really wasn't good for the Vikings at all to have that. And like I said, I don't think that the Vikings are going to be the team that they were last year. And plus, they lost 2 of their great players anyway, Thielen and Cook. Tampa Bay did beat the Vikings, though, 20-17. They had an interception as the Vikings were at the end zone trying to score a touchdown, so that for sure helped. And Mike Evans' touchdown caught from Mayfield. I thought Mayfield did pretty good for the Bucs, obviously considering the fact that the team is kind of in a rebuild and nobody really knew how Baker Mayfield was going to do. I don't think Baker Mayfield's a horrible quarterback. I just think that I'm actually curious. I didn't happen to check. Did anybody check to see if Mike Evans has like a contract extension or what is happening? Is he going to be the unregistered free agent come 2024? Anybody know? Hit down below. So good job, Tampa Bay. I'm a little nervous still though for the Eagles to play the Vikings this Thursday. I will be at the game in 2 days. I'm a little nervous though. Can't say the least. My mom is a Vikings fan, but she refuses to wear the Vikings shirt because she doesn't want to get yelled at by the Eagles. And I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll be with me. But my mom just is refusing. I'm like, just wear purple then. I don't know about that. I'm like, okay, Mom. Next up, you got the Panthers versus the Falcons. So we were cheering for the Panthers in this house. I did pick the Panthers. I even have a black cat, and his name's Panther, and I was trying to make him be the mascot for the team. But, you had Chenault Jr., the wide receiver. He was getting a lot of carries for the Panther. Young for the Panthers did throw an interception. Everyone thought he would play a bit better, though, than he actually did. He did misfire on some passes, including what could have been a 99-yard touchdown to Mingo. His playmakers didn't do him a ton of favors. Sanders did get the ball, and he did well, but it wasn't as much as I feel like he could have obviously had. And then you have this guy, Hurst, for the Panthers. Who is that guy? I don't even know, but congrats. He got a touchdown for him. So then you have the Falcons. They shut down Carolina on 4th and 1. Carolina tried to go for it, and they were like, nope, can't have it. The Falcons, Robinson, everybody was looking for. He did get his first touchdown in the beginning of the second quarter. I was very happy for him. It's always exciting to see rookies get their first touchdown in a game, especially for week 1. Like, that's super exciting. The Falcons did win 24-10. Robinson did crush it for the Falcons, and, if it wasn't for them, he was really one of the best people on their offense, but Ritter did show that he still needs a lot more improvement, their quarterback. The Falcons spent a lot of money on this offseason to sign Jesse Bates. He had 10 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble against the Panthers. So clearly, we know, though, that their defense is the one who gave them their game. Their offense, they did have a couple good people, but at the end of the day, for only 18 throws on Sunday that Ritter threw, only 4 went to Kyle Pitts and Drake London. So they clearly were not throwing the ball that much. Pitts had a few big catches plus a 26-yarder that was unfortunately called back for them. So their defense, like I said, is really the ones who won them the game. Falcons, good job. But some of these teams, I feel like, including my own, squeaked by with a win this season, or this week for that matter, during the season. Next up, the Cardinals and Commanders. Two I probably said as the worst teams in the division. What are you going to do? I mean, as for Arizona, they did get a pick against the Commanders. Prater got a 54-yard kick and two other successful field goals. It was a big field goal week. That's what I can say for sure. Not as many high-scoring games this week for sure. A lot of low-scoring games, and field goals were very common. So there were blocked field goals. That was a little bit crazy. Defensively, though, the Cardinals did all they could in their loss to the Washington, holding the Commanders to only 248 yards and a 4-12 conversion rate on third downs, forcing 3 turnovers and sacking Hal 6 times. So, what can they do? They just couldn't do much for the backup quarterback, Joshua Dobbs. You all know that Kyler Murray is on, I think, the PUP list, and Joshua Dobbs is their current QB. Their offense totaled 210 yards with 13 first downs, but the penalties killed the Cardinals all around. For 9 penalties, they had 122 yards. That's insane. That literally could have cost you easily the game. So that's a no-no. You cannot be doing that. I hate when we get penalties. It freaking sucks. As for the Commanders, they did win 20-16. I thought the Commanders were going to win this game, but as I said, I don't think they're barely that much the better team. Sam Howell, you didn't know when this kind of start, especially in terms of pass protection, turnovers, the penalties, and the sacks were huge issues in week 1 against the Cardinals, who, like I said, are in the process of rebuilding. The Commanders show that their defense can take over the game, but as they start to play better opponents, that's not going to work over for them. You need a much better offense. And it sucks because they do have some good people. It's just, they just need a better mesh of a system. Next up, we have the Jags versus the Colts. Now, I have a really good friend. He's a Jags fan. You did have Calvin Ridley come back after his year suspension with gambling that I did a video on. I could put that down below as well. Really did get the first touchdown for the Jags. He and Trevor Lawrence did look like the perfect match in their first regular season outing together. They had a very good sync with one another. Zay Jones had a beautiful catch. You didn't think he'd get for a touchdown. The Jags did win 31-21. Tank Bigsby, the rookie, he needs to tighten things up, though, a bit for the Jags with a drop pass in the second quarter, which became a pick, and then he did kind of lack some, awareness on the field. I wasn't really sure what was going on with him. As for the Colts, their defense, though, came to play. You know, they're still trying to rebuild themselves, too. They do have their brand new quarterback as well. Anthony Richardson, Pittman, and Buckner on defense got the touchdowns. But Anthony Richardson may have lost his first game as a rookie, but he is the youngest quarterback with a rush touchdown since Michael Vick in 2001. So congrats to the Jags. Happy for my friend. I think he said they play the Chiefs next week. And Colin, I'm pretty sure you're going to lose that one. Sorry, Jags fans. There's no way the Chiefs are losing twice. I will literally eat something that I don't want to eat if the Chiefs lose twice. You can hold me to this. As for the 49ers and the Steelers, now I thought the Steelers weren't going to win. It was at the Steelers' home. The 49ers were on the road, and boy, oh boy, did they crush it. Now, Nick Bosa, as we know, is now the highest paid defensive person in the league. For the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk had a touchdown, and Purdy is playing. Then Ayuk gets the second touchdown. So Purdy played well. Ayuk got the first touchdowns. First 2, and then he did amazing in a game, having 129 yards. Then you have McCaffrey, who had the third touchdown with a 65-yard run. He had rushed for 152 yards and had 1 touchdown during the game. And the 49ers, they dominated the first half against the Steelers, and you just could see it on the Steelers fans' faces. They were not happy. Honestly, if I was in the stands and I was a fan too, I'm very quiet when we start losing. I'm screaming when I have a chance. I'm quiet when we're losing, and I'm cheering and screaming like a mofo when we're actually winning. They just had an offensive explosion in week 1. Clearly, we know that their defense is probably one of the best defenses in the entire league, but their offense crushed it. They're for sure proven to be a team to be reckoned with come week 2. So as for the Steelers, though, they did get a really good sack with Purdy. It was one of the most interesting things. I'm going to try to see if I can find it. I don't know. Purdy tried to do this reach around. He landed on the ball and tried to do this reach around and grab it behind his back. It was very, Very interesting. Kenny Pickett did have 2 picks. His offensive line struggled, allowing him to get sacked 5 times. You can't have your good quarterbacks getting sacked. That's not going to help you. But then they basically got shut down by the 49ers. I truly think that TJ Watt was really one of the only players on the Steelers who was looking great. He was getting some sacks in. Like, if you would thought that TJ Watt was the only person playing for the Steelers, I'm not sure what happened. Cam Hayward, a defensive lineman, suffered a groin injury during the game and will be out for weeks. A lot of injuries come week 1. Whew. The 49ers took further advantage of the openness on the line after the fact. Their game next week against the Browns, who dominate offensively, will tell a lot about how the Steelers actually are for the season. Did the Browns just get lucky against the Bengals? Or are the Browns a much better team this year? 49ers won 30-7. Congrats, 49ers. I did pick the Steelers. I was trying to have a couple upsets, but it went my other way. As for the Titans and the Saints, I was really curious to see how the Titans were going to do. Obviously, still have Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't feel like Hopkins got the ball that much. Nick Folk did make a field goal for them. He used to be our kicker on the Eagles. Hooker for the Titans did make the interception. Even though the Titans have Derrick Henry, he looked great and just pushes people out of his way when he is running. It is hard to bring that man down. That man is like this, and it is super funny to watch, I feel like. They costed the game. He opted to kick a field goal on 4th and 6 with 4 points, with 2 minutes, 20 seconds. I don't know what the coach, Mike Vrabel, was thinking. I feel like this mistake, and which then had the Saints drain the clock, along with him declining a holding penalty on a 3rd down play in the 3rd quarter, giving the Saints that 52-yarder that tied the game. I don't know what the coach was thinking. I just really don't. I really don't know what the coach is thinking. I think that could have been the easy part of their wins and make a game changer for that. Sometimes the coaching decisions, you just really don't understand. You're like, why was that? As for the Saints, they ended up winning 16-15, but clearly neither team was that great. Derek Carr got his first win as a Saint. However, it was more the special teams unit for the Saints that seemed to carry them. Blake Group, their rookie cooker, made all 3 field goals on a week where blocked field goals, like I said, were a thing, including a 52-yard, like I said, that did tie the game at 1 point. Their punter, Lou Hadley, is just an inexperienced, but he averaged 48.2 yards on 5 punts. That's amazing. And not having a lot of experience, and you're hitting almost 50-yard punts, that's freaking phenomenal. Then the Saints, for sure, have some time to clean up, but I don't know how the Saints are going to do. I'm really surprised. I thought the Titans possibly could have pulled over that win. I might have chose the Saints for this. I can't really remember, but Then for the Raiders and the Broncos. This was Jimmy G's first game. Clearly, the Raiders did have some issues. You were a little concerned for the Raiders at one point, but Jimmy G did win his first Raiders game at 17-16. A lot of really close games this week. Low scoring, close games. That makes it way more stressful. You just want to see sometimes a team blow it out, like the Giants and the Jets, or the Giants and the Cowboys that we'll talk about later, but whew. Not like close games or like this where you're just having so many mistakes. They had 10 penalties and 6 of them resulted in the Broncos having a new set of downs. So they're lucky they even won in the first place. Jimmy G found his matches with wide receiver Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams, but unfortunately Jacoby Myers got hurt and now has to be checked out for a concussion. These poor people. Raiders were the only AFC team to win, helping them as the season moved on. So Chiefs lost. Everybody else in their division lost. So congrats for the Raiders for that. I'm sure Jimmy G is happy, but the Raiders really do have a lot of stuff to go. They do have some Josh Jacobs too. So the Raiders have some good people on their offense. Let's see what happens. As for the Broncos, they looked better in the first half, but the second half they were slacking. The kicker for the Broncos, Lutz, missed 4 points for the kick, which could have helped them win the game. Sean Payton looked like he tried to do all he could. Russell Wilson did look much better in the first half. In the second half, it just seemed like the Broncos ran out of gas. And I guess as a Broncos fan, apparently you're used to this, but that really does suck. Then you have my team, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Patriots. Well, the Patriots, they came up short with the talent differential. They did make it for lost time offensively from perhaps winning the game. but they need to find a way to prevent the slow starts. The Eagles win was embarrassing to me, but when the fourth quarter rolls around and all of a sudden, one moment I look at the thing, I was working for a gig called Daddy's Caddies. I could put that down below. If you ever come out to Vegas and you need a caddy, hit us up. But I had to somehow schedule myself to work during the first Eagles game of the season, and I wanted to smack myself in the face about 100 times during so I was trying to pay my attention to my phone. I had Red Zone on my phone. I got that YouTube Sunday ticket with the Red Zone. So I was trying to keep that on while I was watching. One moment I'm watching the Eagles game, and it's 16-0. The next time I look, it's 16-14. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? How the hell do we just have that real quick? We go and allowed them to score 2 touchdowns? What the fuck? Slade Jr. did have an amazing pick six, though, where he did end up scoring that touchdown for us. One drive in the beginning of the game, and the 2 Patriots turnovers did help us to get to that 16-0. However, next we super struggled on converting 4 of our 13 third down attempts, which is embarrassing. Last season, we crushed it on 4th down conversions, like 4th and 1. I'm like, now the fuck, we're not going to get that. And we get it, like stupid stuff like that. And you'd be like, wow, we're doing really good. And we can't even manage to get 3rd down conversions. That's so embarrassing. I was stressing out, freaking out, cussing like a sailor, as I always do. When it gets to the 4th quarter, like I said, I get very quiet, or I start cussing and start screaming and kicking the ground and acting like a true Eagles fan. I'm a little nervous at the Vikings game on Thursday. Like I said, it's going to prove whether or not we are maybe the team we were last year. I think that we would be better, but I don't know what happened this first season. First game of the first season this season. What is going on with us? I mean, the Vikings had their issues too, but winning 25-20, that was for sure a close call. There was some 4th down and calls that we tried to go for, and 4th and 2 didn't get. Patriots get the ball back, and somehow we still managed to win. Thank the Lord here. But whew, that bitch sucked. Okay. Then you got the Rams and the Seahawks. So the Seahawks, that had to be one of the funniest things I've seen. There was a meme, and Geno Smith was getting blitzed by Aaron Donald and was like, throws the ball, was like, oh my God. That's really funny. If you watch this clip, I don't know if I can find it, but if you watch it, it was freaking hysterical. The Seahawks blocked an amazing kick, and Michael Jackson from their special teams recovered it. Metcalf caught the only touchdown in the Seahawks game, and that man for sure is my favorite player by far in the team. I was watching his pre-game catches, and he's just doing crazy one-handed catches. He's so tall, so fast, and he just catch crazy one-handed balls. Yes, James was like Odell Beckham Jr. from back in the day, but still, it was a really good fucking catch. Okay, it was pre-game, but still. Their run defense this year was fine. It was just that they had trouble stopping the pass. They allowed the Cooper Kupp-less Rams have their offense averaging only 9 yards per pass attempt for the Rams. Yeah, that they just were not able to stopping the Rams. So the Rams, the score was 30-13. So congrats for the Rams. They did control the ball for nearly 40 minutes long. Without Kupp, they opted for more gap runs and power plays. The ground game served them purpose. They found their backup in Kupp and rookie Puka Nwaka. I'm not sure how to say some of these names, who did have 10 catches on 15 targets for 119 yards. So congrats to the Rams. You do obviously have Sean McVay, who is a really good coach, but I don't know. I don't know if the Rams are really still going to do that great for the season. Next up, you have, I think, which was one of the best games of the entire season, which was the Dolphins, the week for really, because it's the first week. I keep saying season, but it's the first week of the Dolphins versus the Chargers. This game was one of the best games because the best games are the ones that are back and forth, because it keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire game. And 1 minute's in your favor, and the next minute you're behind. The next minute's in your favor, and the next minute you're behind, and you just can't keep up. You don't want to leave the game. These are the best ones by far. My favorites, the Dolphins did win 36-34. My favorite, absolutely one of my favorite wide receivers in the entire league, players in the whole league, Tyreek Hill, because he is that cheetah, had 215 receiving yards in Sunday's game. Tua is now the 3rd highest quarterback behind Brady and Dan Marino, with a week 1 debut of most pass yards at 466. He may not have the strongest arm in the NFL like Mahomes or Allen does, but He does have great ball placement. He threw this most beautiful pass into Tyreek Hill's hands in the end zone with Hill being covered without this defensive person who could have obviously had pass interference. Hill caught this most beautiful pass. On the corner, it was like this. You didn't think he was going to catch it. I mean, the guy was right on him. So that shows for both people, like Tua and Hill, how good he is. But he's really good in the pocket, and he's also good when it comes to dealing with pressure or delivering passes on the move. As long as Tua has an offensive line to protect him, the Miami Dolphins are going to do great. Okay. As for that, he did have 3 touchdown tosses for Tua, but he also did have 1 interception. But hey, we'll take it. It's a great game. It was a tough game, like I said, though, against the Chargers. The Chargers defense was, they were not as good as they could be. It is extremely hard to kind of stop the Miami speedsters. They have really fast people on Miami. Like I said, it was probably one of the best games I watched the entire week. It was back and forth scores. Miami didn't go 2 straight possessions without scoring and crossed Los Angeles 30-yard line on every possession but one. They just killed it. As for the Chargers, their offense was terrific. It was their defense that was their problem. But they were picked apart by the Dolphins and had 9 returning starters. Allowed Miami to get 466 passing yards, which apparently is the most ever allowed by any team with Brandon Staley as its head coach. So good for Miami. I'm excited. I still think the Chargers are making the playoffs, but I still say that Miami has a chance to win their division. And I think it will be the first since if they win a playoff game, I think it's the first since like 2000 if they win a playoff game. Crazy. I'm rooting still for Miami here. Then you got the Packers and Bears. Whew, what a game that was. Congrats to Jordan Love for winning his first game as Packers starting QB. He did have 245 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He played within his limits and he looked good. This is now the 9 straight wins for the Packers versus the Bears. I feel sorry for all of my friends that I know are Bears fans. They won with a score of 38-20. Aaron Jones looked like a beast, running fast and catching some amazing throws in the game. Romeo Doubs caught the first touchdown in the end zone from Love. Quay Walker had a phenomenally pick 6 where he wouldn't go down as he ran for that touchdown for the Packers. So really good plays coming out of the Packers team. But as for the Bears, Justin Fields and DJ Moore, who was really excited to see, they couldn't just catch their rhythm. Justin Fields led the Bears in rushing Sunday with 59 yards. He's now led the Bears in rushing in 10 of their 12 past games. He needs to realize he's got to be a quarterback, not a running back here. The Bears turned the ball over in downs and got bogged down twice in Green Bay territory. This, like I said, there was their 9 straight loss to Green Bay, and they just need to figure out a better game plan. I mean, especially now they don't have Aaron Rodgers. You can't blame Aaron Rodgers if you just won to that. There were 5 offensive penalties, and Fields threw a horrific pick 6 late that for sure sealed their loss. Their defense also fell flat, and they were inconsistent with their pass rush and coverage. They generated 0 turnovers and executed poorly on 3rd and 4th downs during the game. So congrats, Packers. I'm really curious to see if Jordan Love can keep going for you. Now for the brutal Sunday night game. We are a Giant fan as well in this house, and the poor Giants. As my mother said, which I was absolutely dying, were the Giants asleep? I responded back with, I think they forgot it was week 1 of the regular season game, because to get shut out 40-0, fuck, that's brutal. The Cowboys picked 6 off the franchise tag running back. Saquon Barkley's hands set the tone for that night. And Saquon Barkley is a great running back. So I'm just not sure what happened to the Giants on Sunday. I really don't know. Jones was sacked 7 times and didn't complete a pass longer than 9 yards until Dallas was up 26-0. I'm not really sure. I have quite a few friends that are Dallas fans or Cowboys fans and Dallas fans, but Giants, I'm not sure, guys. For their next 5 games, though, are on the road. So, yeah, let's see if they can win more of their games. I thought they were going to be great. and be second in the division for the NFC East. But, oh, they need to get past this one. As for the Cowboys, you had Trayvon Diggs. His brother, which I thought was super cool, Stephon Diggs, who plays for the Bills, came out to support him. And even Trayvon's son was there. They were both sitting there in the pouring rain, no ponchos on, taking it like a G. Trayvon even did get a touchdown and gave it to his son during the game. That was super cute. Like I said, the Cowboys won 40-0, which was the largest week 1 shutout since 1999, which was at the Giants' home too. Giants, man. First week blues here. Their first touchdown of the game was a blocked field goal return, and they also scored in the return of the interception. Prescott only threw, though, for 143 yards on Sunday, so clearly it was the Cowboys' defense which was dominating the entire game. I mean, yes, you have their defense and who won them the game to get them to 40-0, but at the end of the day, you still need Dak to be a great quarterback. So let's see if he can prove to be like who he's going to be come like next few games. The fact that their defense did so well, though, in these rainy conditions in the East Coast that day was impressive because, like I said, it was just pouring the entire East Coast. Of course, the first week of Sunday football, pouring. Just, insanely pouring. And I already talked about the Bills and the Jets. You can watch my previous video on that. But at the end of the day, how many people did you guys get in? But for the Aaron Rodgers, I'm really bummed. Aaron Rodgers was just in this morning that he will miss the rest of the season with a torn Achilles. I'm truly sad. I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers play before he retired. I don't know if he's going to want to try to come back next season and do better and prove to these poor Jets fans who probably just bought his jersey and everything that, really sorry for that. I would say my biggest upset of the week, though, for sure. One would be the Kansas City Chiefs losing to Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, I know you guys think you had in the bag, but this is Kansas City Chiefs. This is your Super Bowl winning team. This is Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you guys could beat Kansas City again if they have their Kelsey and Chris Jones. Yeah, if they would have had them, I don't think you guys would have won. I for sure think that you guys would have probably lost. Love y'all Lions fans. You guys are very dedicated. Happy for you that you won. Not going strong here, though. The most embarrassing game for sure was, unfortunately, the Giants getting shut out by the Cowboys 40-0. But the most interesting game for sure to watch was the Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. That was, I think, probably one of the best games in the entire week. The Jets did come back, and they did win the game against the Bills. But as a fan, you want that game to be back and forth. And that Chargers and Dolphins game, I got to catch some of that on the Red Zone. That was great. That would have been a phenomenal game to been at. Did anybody go to the Miami Chargers game? Because, and as for my own Eagles, boy, oh boy, do I hope that we have a better week 2. Because that week 1 was brutal. That fourth quarter was stressful. I was literally still stressed like a week after the game. And it's funny that I posted a meme earlier the week before the week started about how I'm not going to let a football team dictate my mood for the next few months. And I feel like I about did, because for the next hour after the game ended for the Eagles, I was still stressed out. I'm like, oh my God, I just can't believe we almost lost. I can't believe we almost lost to the Patriots. I don't want to have the first week losing. We had a great stretch of wins last season, and I was thrilled. The fact that the Commanders were the first team to knock the Eagles out last season still bugs me. Bugs me. All the teams that we beat last season, we lost to the Commanders. Gosh, I'm sorry. That was just beyond annoying. Anybody a Commanders fan? But thank you so much, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that. I do love you all so much. I will keep trying to put out more videos, and I'm going to Lincoln Financial Field Thursday. If you are going to the Eagles-Vikings game, let me know down below. Love you all so much. Ta-ta for now.